Hello. In today's lesson, lesson 5.6, we're going to be working on dividing decimals. And the essential question is, how can you place the decimal point in the quotient when the dividend and the divisor are both have decimal points? So first thing we want to talk about is what happens when we divide or multiply a divisor and the dividend by the same power of 10. Well, let's look at this. 6 divided by 3. Well, okay, that's basic math fact, right? 2. But if I multiply that divisor by 10 and I come up with a divisor of 60, and I also multiply the dividend by 10, I'd get 30. So 60 divided by they've actually got these backwards, don't they? The divisor is on the other side here. Because if we're saying 6 divided by 3, 6 is the dividend and 3 is the divisor. Okay, so this is just a publishing error here. All right. So if we multiply the dividend by 10, we'd get 60. If we multiply the divisor by 10, we'd get 30. And 60 divided by 30 is 2. So just multiplying both the dividend and the divisor by 10, we can't come up with the same quotient. So if we multiply the previous dividend by 10 again, 60 times 10, we'd have 600. If we multiply 30 by 10, we'd have 300. And 600 divided by 300 is still 2. So now it works the same way if we multiply by 1/10. Okay, so if we will multiply 1/10, we know that 120 would get 1/10 smaller, or 12. 30 divided by 1/10 would become 3, but 12 divided by 3 is still 4. And then if we take 12 and divide by 1/10, we'd have 1 and 2/10. And if we divide 3 by 1/10, we'd still get 3/10, but we'd still have 4 as our answer. So if we do the same, if we multiply the divisor and dividend by the same power of 10, it doesn't affect the quotient. Okay, and that's going to be helpful to do what we call clear the divisor. Okay, so what do you multiply hundredths by to get a whole number? Well, let's look at that. If we have 0.36 and I want that to be a whole number, well, remember that this is 36 hundredths. So if I multiplied that by hundredths, by 100, we'd have 36. So we multiply by 100. So that's what we're going to be doing here in this problem. So Matthew has 72 cents. He wants to buy 8 stickers that cost 8 cents each. How many stickers can he buy? So that's our question. That's what we have to find. Has 72 cents. He's going to split that among something that the stickers that cost 8 cents each. Well, if we take that 72 cents and the 8 cents and multiply both of them by 100, okay, because we want to make the 8 hundredths into a whole number. So I want to clear the divisor by multiply by 100. If I multiply the divisor by 100, I also have to multiply the dividend by 100. So we get 72 divided by 8, which would be 9. So he can buy 9 stickers. So explain how you know that the quotient 72 hundredths divided by 8 hundredths is equal to the quotient 72 divided by 8. Well, we multiply both the divisor and the dividend by 100. So the quotients have to be equal. They have to be the same. I changed them by the same value. All right, so let's look at the try this question. We have 56 hundredths divided by 7 tenths. Now, we want to make the divisor into a whole number. So 7 tenths times 10 would give me 7. Because 7 times 10 is 70. 70 divided by 10 is 7. So I just eliminated the tens. So if we multiply 7 tenths by 10, we know we get 7. If we multiply 56 hundredths by 10, we would get 5 and 6 tenths. So what's happening when we multiply by 10? Well, if we multiply 7 tenths by 10, we move the decimal point one place to the right. So now you notice that it's after the 7 instead of before the 7. So now we have a whole number, right? Now we have 7. But we have to do the same thing to the dividend. So multiply that 5 and 6 tenths, 56 hundredths by 5 tenths, okay? Because our decimal point is right there to start. And we're going to move it one place to the right. And so now we have 5 and 6 tenths divided by 7. Well, we learned in lesson 5.4 that if we take a decimal and divide by a whole number, all we have to do is move the decimal straight up. Okay, so we know our decimal point's got to be there. So 5 divided by 7, we know that's going to be less than 1, right? And we know that 8 times 7 is 56. So we'd have 0 left over. We have no more numbers in the dividend to bring down. So our answer is 8 tenths. We can also check that. 8 tenths times 7. And 7 times 8 is 56. We'll regroup that as 5 and 6 tenths. 7 times 0 is 0, plus 5 more is 5.6. Let's look at the example on page 232. Sherry hikes on the Pacific Coast Trail. She plans to hike 3 and 72 hundredth miles. If she hikes at an average of 1 and 2 tenths miles per hour, how long will she hike? Well, so we have our division problem, 3 and 72 hundredths divided by 1 and 2 tenths. If we took, like, say, 4 and divide by 1, 3 and 72 hundredths round up to 4, divide by 1, we get an answer of 4. Okay. So that's just a general help us with making sure we put the decimal point in the right spot. So we know our answer has to be in the ones. So we're going to clear the divisor, 1 and 2 tenths, by multiplying by 10. So 1 and 2 tenths times 10 would give me 12. 3 and 72 hundredths times 10 would give me 37 and 2 tenths. Again, when I multiply a decimal by a power of 10, it just moves that many places. So 1.2 would become 12. 3.72 would become 37.2. So that's what we have here, 37.2 divided by 12. We know that dividing a decimal by a whole number, all we have to do is bring the decimal right up in the quotient. Now, how many 37s can I share with 12 groups? Well, I can put 3 in each group, because 3 times 12 is 36. Subtract, I'm left with 1, which can't be shared with 12 groups, but I have 2 tenths left to share. So if I take that as 12 tenths divided by 12, I can take 1 tenth and share it with every group. So we have 3 and 1 tenth. Okay. So on this step, technically all I was supposed to do was put the decimal point. Okay. So I kind of did more than I had to. So here we know to put the decimal point straight up because we're taking a decimal and multiplying by a whole number, dividing by a whole number. And so then this would be our work for solving the division part of it. So 3.1. So she will hike 3 1/10 hours. So describe what happens to the decimal point in the divisor and in the dividend when you multiply by 10. Well, we just talked about that right here. When you multiply by 10, the decimal point moves one place to the right. So in each decimal, the decimal point moves one place to the right. If we were multiplying by 100, we move it 2 places to the right. If we were multiplying by 1,000, we move it 3 places to the right, so on. So explain how you could have used the estimate to place the decimal. Okay, how do we know? Well, if our estimate's 4, it couldn't be 0.31 because that is less than one whole, so we'd be way off of 4. It couldn't be after the 1, that would be 31, and 31 is not close to 4 ones. So 3 ones is the only one that makes sense. All right, so let's do this one. Divide, check your answer. So here we have 14 hundredths. What do we have to multiply the divisor by to, quote, clear it and make it into a whole number? Well, we need to move 1, 2 places. So that would be multiplying by 100. So we have to multiply the divisor and the dividend by 100. So if we move it 2 places to come up with 14, I have to do the same thing to the 1.96. So we're going to have the decimal point after the 6 because now we have 196 divided by 14. So how many 19s can I share with 14 groups? Just 1 in each group, right? Subtract, where you're left with 5. Well, you can't share 5 with 14 groups, so let's bring down the 6. All right, 56 divided by 14. Well, I know 4 times 10 is 40, and I have 4 extras, so it could be 14 times 4. 4 times 4 is 16. 4 times 1 is 4, plus the regrouped is 5, so 4 works out great. Subtract, we're left with 0, and there are no more numbers to bring down. So we're saying 1 96 hundredths divided by 14 hundredths is 14. So let's check our answer. Take the quotient and multiply by the divisor. 4 times 4 is 16. Regroup. We have 5. 4 times 0 is 0. Okay, we're going to move to the tens place. And 1 times 4 is 4. 1 times 1 is 1. 1 times 0 is 0. Now just add up the place values. 6, 9, 1. And that would be just a 0. Whole number times a number in the hundredths. We have to have a number in the hundredths. So 14 hundredths times 14 gives us 1.96, which is what we started with. All right, 233, number 1. So 45 divided by 9, that's just a basic math fact, and we know that answer is 5. Well, what did they do to 45 to make it 4.5? Well, they multiplied that by 1/10, right? So if they multiplied the dividend by 1/10, we also have to multiply the divisor by 1/10. So we'd have 0.9. So the decimal point is moving one place to the left when we multiply by 1/10. And our answer is still 5. So here now, we're again going to multiply 9/10 by 1/10. And now we have 9/100. So we're going to do the same thing to the 4 and 5/10, multiply by 1/10, and we'd wind up with 45/100. Well, 45/100 divided by 9/100 is 5. All right, so number 2, 175 divided by 25. Well, I know that that's 7 quarters. There's $1.75 basically, right? Well, I know there's 4 quarters in a dollar, and in 75 cents, there's 3. So 4 plus 3, 7. So I know 175 divided by 25 is 7. They also show us that in the pattern. So all the quotients are 7. So what did they do? What happened here to go from 175 to 17.5? The decimal place moved one place to the left, so they're multiplying by 1/10. So I'm also going to multiply 25 by 1/10. So 17.5 divided by 2.5 is 7. And in the last one, what did they do to go from 2.5 to 25/100? They multiplied by 1/10. So I moved it one place to the left, and I'll do the same thing to the 17.5. Okay. And $1.75 divided by 25 cents is 7. All right, number 3, 164 divided by 2. Well, I know 2 times 8 is 16. If I subtract that, that gives me 0. And I have 4 ones divided by 2, that's going to be 2. And again, they showed us that in the pattern. All right, here they multiplied by 1/10, and the decimal point moved one place to the left. So I multiply the divisor by 1/10, and it becomes 2/10. If I multiply 2/10 by another 1/10, we'd have 2/100. 2/10 times 1/10 is 2/100. And I'm going to multiply 16 and 4/10 by 1/10, and I'd have 1 and 64/100, which is still 82. All right. So number 4, we have 1 and 6/10. So we're going to multiply 1 and 6/10 by 10 to move the decimal point to the right. So that's going to give us 16. So I'm also going to multiply the 9.6 by 10 to get 96. So we have 96 divided by 16. Well, I know 6 times 6 is 36. So it's quite possible that 16 times 6 is 96. 6 times 6 is 36. 6 times 1 is 6, plus 3 more is 9. So subtract, we get 0. So our quotient is 6. Number 5, 3/10 divided into 24/100. We're going to take the 3/10 and multiply by 10 so that we are left with 3. We have to do the same thing to the dividend. So 24/100 times 10 would be 2.4. All right. So we have a decimal divided by a whole number. Place the decimal point and then just divide. I can't share 2 with 3 groups, so I'll take that as 24/10 and divide by 3. That's 8. 8 times 3 is 24. Subtract. We get nothing left. No more numbers to bring down. So 24/100 divided by 3/10 is 8/10. Number 6, 3 and 45/100 divided by 1.5. So I want to multiply the 1 and 5/10 by 10 to get 15. I have to do the same thing to the divisor, to the dividend. And 3 and 45 hundredths times 10 is 34 and 5 tenths. So basically, we move the decimal point one place to the right on both of our dividend and divisor because we multiplied by 10. Place the decimal. 15 times 2 is 30. Subtract, we're left with 4, which can't be shared with 15. So let's bring down the 5 tenths. 45 divided by 15. Well, 15 times 2 is 30. I just need one more 15. So 3. So 2 and 3 tenths. Number 7. So 6 tenths, 13 and 2 tenths divide by 6 tenths. We need to multiply 6 tenths by 10 so that we can move the decimal point one place to the right. So we have 6 as the divisor. And we're going to do the same thing to the dividend. And so that will also move one place to the right. So we have 132. 132 divided by 6. Well, 6 times 2 is 12. Subtract, we're left with 1. We need to bring down the 2 ones in this case. And 12 divided by 6 is 2. 2 times 6 is 12. So our answer is 22. Number 8. 9 tenths divided by 3 tenths. Multiply the 3 tenths by 10 to move it one place to the right. Multiply the 9 tenths by 10 to move it one place to the right. Again, whatever we do to the divisor, we want to do to the dividend so we don't change the value of the quotient. So 9 divided by 3, 3. So 9 tenths divided by 3 tenths is 3. You would need 3 tenths to equal 9 tenths. All right, number 26. Number 9. 1 and 56 hundredths divided by 26 hundredths. So we have to take the 26 hundredths and multiply by 100. We would wind up moving the decimal point 2 places to the right to get 26. And 1 and 56 hundredths, we'd also have to multiply by 100. And we move the decimal point 2 places to the right there. Place the decimal because now we've changed this to have 156 divided by 26. All right, how many 26s can I share with, how many 100s can I share with 26 groups? None. How many 15 10s can I share with 26 groups? None. 6 times what ends in a 6? 1 does, but we know that that's way too far away from 156. 2, 3, 8, that's 18, 24, 30, 36. 6 probably is going to work. 26 times 6. 6 times 6 is 36. So again, I was trying to see how many 6s could I multiply by the 6 ones here to end 6 ones. So that's 36. 6 times 2 is 12, plus the 3 regroup 10s, 156. Subtract, I get 0. So our answer is 6. All right, number 10. Samuel has 96 cents. He wants to buy erasers that cost 6 cents each. Describe how Samuel can find the number of erasers he can buy. All right, so the first thing he would do is multiply the divisor, 6, by 100, right? Okay. Then he's going to have to multiply the 96 hundredths by 100. So let's start by saying multiply both numbers. By 100. He can then move the decimal point 2 places to the right. Two places to the right to show the products. $96 and 6. Now, why do we say products? Well, because remember, we're multiplying both of these by 100. So 96 cents times 100 would be 96. 6 cents times 100 would be 6. All right. So then we're just going to divide, right? So then he can divide 96 by 6 to get 16. So he can buy 16 erasers. So again, multiply both numbers by 100. That's going to move the decimal place in both numbers 2 places to the right. So we're wind up with 96 and 6. 96 divided by 6 is 16, which means you can buy 16 erasers if they're 6 cents each. Number 11. Connie paid $1.08 for pencils. How many pencils did she buy? Okay, well, I have to use the table over here, and each pencil costs 12 cents. So the division problem would be $1.08 divided by 12 cents. Let's multiply both numbers by 100. Which means we can move the decimal point 2 places to the right. And $1.08 times 100 would be 108. So let's do that division problem. 108 divided by 12. Well, I know 12 times 10 is 120. So it's probably 9. 12 times 9 is 108. So 9 pencils. Number 12, Albert has $2.16. How many more pencils can he buy than markers? All right, well, that's a comparison, right? So we're actually using this $2.16 and buying pencils and comparing it to if he bought markers. So we'd have $2.16 divided by pencils, which is 12 cents, or markers, which would sell for 36 cents. All right, so what do we have to multiply both divisors by to clear them, to make them into whole numbers? Well, this is 12 hundredths, so multiply by hundredths. 1, 2. I move the divisor 2 places, the decimal point in the divisor 2 places to the right, so I have to do the same thing to the dividend. So we have 216 divided by 12. In our other problem, the one with the markers, I'd also have to multiply 36 hundredths by 100 to move it 2 places to the right. And I would do the same thing to the dividend, which gives me 216. All right, so where's the decimal point in these problems? It's going to be at the end. Okay. So how many 21s can I share with 12 groups? Well, I can put 1 10 in each group. That leaves me with 9 10s, which can't be shared with 12 groups. Bring down the 6 ones, and 96 ones divided by 12. Well, I know 12 times 8 is 96. So he can buy 18 pencils. How many markers can he buy? 216 divided by 36. Well, I can't divide 21 and share them equally with 36 groups. So it's going to be 216 divided by 36. Well, 7 times 30 is 210. So that would be too big, right? 7, because it's not 7 times 30, it's 7 times 36, which would go above that. So I'm going to try 6. 6 times 6 is 36. 6 times 3 tens is 18 tens, plus the 3 regroup tens, 216. So 6 markers. Okay, let's go back to our question now. How many more pencils can he buy than markers? 18 pencils minus 6 markers. So he can buy 12 more pencils. All right, 13. How many erasers can Aida buy for the same amount that she would pay for 2 notepads? So each notepad is 65 cents. So that's just 65 cents times 2, right? If she buys 2 notepads, each notepad is 65 cents. So that would be 5 times 2 is 10. Regroup that as 1 dime and 0 pennies. 2 times 6 is 12, plus the regroup 10, 13 dimes, which we can regroup as $1.30. 2 times no dollars is 0, plus the 1 regroup dollar. So she spent $1.30 on 2 notebooks. So our question is, how many erasers can she buy for $1.30? So our problem becomes $1.30 divided by 5 cents. All right. So let's go to our workspace, and we have $1.30 divided by 0.05 or 5 cents. We're going to have to multiply the 500s by 100 to move it 2 places to the right. Do the same thing to the dividend. So we'd have 130 divided by 5. Okay, well, 5 times 2 is 10. Subtract, we'd get 3 tens left. Bring down the 0 ones. And 30 divided by 5, that's going to be 6. 6 times 5 is 30. So she can buy 26 erasers. 26 erasers for the same amount she would buy 2 notepads. All right, Ramon paid $3.25 for notepads and $1.44 for markers. What is the total number of items he bought? Okay, so we'd have $3.25 divide by how much are the notepads? Each notepad is 65 cents. So we're going to take $3.25 and divide by 65 cents. That will tell us the number of notepads. And markers says he spent $1.44 on markers, and each marker costs 36 cents. Okay, so we have our math problem. We have $3.25 divided by 65 cents. We're going to multiply the 65 hundredths by 100. So we move it 2 places to the right. We're also going to multiply 3 and 25 hundredths by 100 to wind up with 325. I can't share 32 with 65. So basically we're looking at 325 divided by 65. I know 5 times 6 is 30. So let's try 65 times 5. Yes, that gives us 325. So he's bought 5 notepads. Okay. Now how many markers did he buy? Well, the first thing we want to do is multiply 36 cents by 100 to get 36. Multiply $1.44 by 100 to get 144. All right, so 144 divided by 36. Well, 3 times 3, that's about 90, right? 30 times 4 is about 120. Let's try 4. 36 times 4. 4 times 6 is 24. 4 times 3 is 12, plus 2 more, 144, so 4. So 5 plus 4 equals 9 items. $15. Keisha has $2. She wants to buy 4 notepads. Does she have enough money? All right, each notepad is 65 cents. She wants to buy 4 of them. No, she's not going to have enough, right? No. Let's just confirm that. 4 times 5 is 20. Regroup that as 2 tens and 0 ones. 0 hundredths. 4 times 6 tenths is 24 tenths, plus 2 more is 26 tenths. Regroup that as 2 ones and 6 tenths. 4 times nothing is 0, plus the 2 extra ones, $2.60. No. She would need $2.60 to buy 4 notepads. Okay, she doesn't have enough. Number 16. Katie divided 4 and 25 hundredths by 25 hundredths and got a quotient of 17 hundredths. What's the error? All right, well, let's see. 4 and 25 hundredths divided by 17 hundredths. If I multiply the 17 hundredths by 100, that would become 17. And if I multiply 4 and 25 hundredths by 100, it would become 425. All right. So the decimal point is after the 5. 742 divided by 17. That's 2 times 17 is 34. So I think it's going to be 2. Leaves me 8. Okay, let's bring down the 5. 85 divided by 17 is probably going to be 5. 17 times 5 is 85. Okay, so I got an answer of 25. Oh, I divided by the wrong number, didn't I? Well, let's do the right one now. Ay, ay, ay. 425 divided by 25. Okay, so the concept's the same. How many 25s can how many 42s can I share with 25 groups? 1 in each group. Subtract. We get 17 left. Bring down the 5. 175 divided by 25, we know is 7. So, all right, so we get an answer of 17. She got a quotient of 17 hundredths. Well, the only way to get 17 hundredths was if the decimal point stayed there. So she multiplied the divisor 25 hundredths by 100, but didn't multiply the dividend. Okay. Because she didn't multiply the dividend by 100, she was dividing 4 and 25 hundredths by 25 instead of 425 by 25. Right, and 17. Tara has a large box of dog treats that weigh 8 and 4 tenths pounds. She uses a large box of dog treats to make smaller bags, each containing 6/10 pound. How many smaller bags of treats did she make? All right. So we're going to take our total amount, 8 4/10 pounds, and we're going to divide by 6/10 pound. We're going to multiply the divisor by 10 to move the decimal point one place to the right. We're also going to multiply the dividend by 10 and move the decimal point one place to the right. So we have 84 divided by 6. Well, I can take 110 and put in each of the groups of 6. And that leaves us with 2, which we can't share with 6 groups. Bring down the 4 ones. 24 ones shared with 6 groups, 4 ones. So she can make 14 smaller bags. Because 6 times 4 is 24, subtract, you get 0. So we'd have 14 times 6. All right, so that's it for dividing decimals by decimals. In our next lesson, we're going to talk about why sometimes we have to add zeros to our dividend to finish our division problems. So until then, I will see you soon.